Welcome everyone. Today we'll have a special Queen rank replay study for you guys. We'll be going through the replay of a high rank Queen player called Pheylop. Pheylop is a very good Queen player who has reached World Top 300 with his main account with Queen. And currently he's playing at Queen 3561. Pheylop also streams on Twitch. For those that are interested in Pheylop's stream, please check out the link below for Pheylop's stream. To catch some high rank games, to learn from Pheylop, and to ask questions with Pheylop live on his Twitch. Let me know in the comments below of what do you guys think about this new type of videos that I'll be posting for you guys, that will be learning from different Queen players from their perspective and learning from their playing style as well. Let's go into the game and let's study and learn together from Pheylop. We can see that currently Pheylop started with his hand for 1 Challenger, 1 Clockwork, 1 Mars, Ogre and a Pet Rider. Let's see how Pheylop transitions and how Pheylop picks in the first round. Pheylop is looking around. He is looking around over other players to see what units they're having. Currently we can see Georgia, Bounty Hunter, Axe, Tiny, and as a task, another Bounty Hunter. So Pheylop decides to take the Amas. Having Amas on the board is quite interesting simply because there are a few Orc players and there are a few Goblin players. Personally, sometimes I would have picked the Clockwork, but picking the Mars definitely is an interesting choice here, so that's how Pheylop transitioned into the next few rounds. The thing I want to highlight with you guys is all different players, all different Queen players have different preference. Personally, I'm a heavy Goblin player, and this particular series allows us to witness and to learn from different type of Queen players. So as we can see, Pheylop did hit the jackpot. He found 2 items on the first round. So that's an ING for you right there. So there's a chairmail and there's a void stone. And Pheylop is currently buying a puck as his second unit. So it's likely Pheylop might be planning into something to do with dragons, or he might be planning something to do with mages, because that's what puck excels. Puck is not the best unit in early game in terms of attack, but puck is great to combine with mages, or puck can be great for dragons. Having a Mars on the board and a puck means it's likely our friend Pheylop is looking at mages. Let's have a look as well. Because if you have dragons and a Mars, it's kind of counterproductive because you don't have the gods activated for the dragons because it's a race synergy. Over here, Pheylop did not hesitate with the Timbersaw simply because it's such a value unit in the early game. And yes, Pheylop did pick up his Ring of Regen. That means he can combine to a Perseverance. Let's have a look how he fares on the third round as well. I'm going to skip a little bit to see what item drops for him. So there are 2 item drops. Let's have a look. There's Ring of Regen and there's a clock. And yes, Pheylop did something what I tend to do sometimes as a little mistake as well. So he did comment here that he made a small mistake. Is that by standing and by picking up those items, it automatically combined into a hood. Usually for any player, a hood is a good item, but the downside is having a Void Stone and the Ring of Regen, he could have had a Perseverance that can go into a Battle Fury or that can go into a Refresher. Now, yes, something I want to highlight with you guys is that picking up the Crystal Maiden definitely shows us Pheylop wants to go into Mages, simply because there's a puck, there's a Crystal Maiden, which are 2 of the crucial mages for the Mars mages. The third one will be a Razor. He also found 2 Timbersaw and 2 Amases, so that's very nice for him as well. The choice of having 2 Timbersaw and 1 Amas means Pheylop is actually having a decent amount of AoE damage in early rounds for round 4. Let's see. If the Timbersaw can AoE here, they actually could win. And yes, we just saw that. They actually won the round. And Pheylop bought a Tusk. Instead of buying anti-mage, buying the Tusk here means he might want to be going into 3 warriors. Pheylop did just found a 2-star Mars. And those 2-star Marses are going to be really crucial for him. And Pheylop decides to push his win streak over here. This is because instead of picking the Lycan, pushing for the win streak allows him to go further with his economy. And if he plans going to mages, he really wants to level to level 5 and level 6 quickly to have the higher rate of 3 cost and 2 cost units. Level 5 have the highest rate for 2 cost units still, and level 6 courier have the highest rate for 3 cost mages, 3 cost units in general. We do notice that Pheylop is also checking other players for the composition. He was focusing on that particular player because that player was actively starting a losing streak. He purposely had less units on the board, and Pheylop is really key. He's really keen to follow on what this player is doing. We found 2 Clockwork, and there's two Timber on the board. So yes, you can have Clockwork and Timber on the board. He will activate the Merc synergy, but you will not activate the Goblin synergy because you need 3 Goblins. Let's see what the decisions are for our friend over here. He did take the Puck and Crystal Maiden on the board. That means the Timbersaw will have a greater chance of bursting multiple times with a lower cooldown and with a mana regen. I feel that having 1 Crystal Maiden that's 1 star on the board is as if you gave everyone a crown. Having a 2-star Crystal Maiden is as if you gave everyone a Wisdom, but they're not the same in comparison, of course. Over here, Pheylop did lose to this combination of Knight, Tiny, and a 2-star Luna. If I remember correctly, Pheylop did mention that he was thinking about rolling and staying where he was on the round, and because he lost here, he actually felt he was okay he didn't roll, because if he rolled and he found that particular lineup, he might have lost anyways. Round 7 now. Why we focus on early game so much is because usually the early game establishes the win streak leader. It also establishes the person who are going economy as well. We can see that Pheylop is actually preparing. He sold a few of units. He sold 2 of the units. Yes, he's looking at how strong that player was that just defeated him. 2-star Axe, 2-star Tiny, and a 2-star Luna. That's incredibly strong to start. So over here, Pheylop's sitting on 8 gold. He can be selling the Shadow Shaman he has once he wins this round, and he can be looking towards to making his gold to 10, makes additional interest. And as you can see, yes, he sold the Shadow Shaman, now he's on 10 gold. Usually players do prepare for a win, and sometimes they will prepare for lose as well. So they prepare for both situations, and if one of the situations happens, they will act quickly because they have planned for it. Now, I am unsure what Pheylop would do, but personally I will be buying the rest of the units instead of selling for the Clockwork, because the Clockwork and Timbersaw can actually find themselves to be a 2-star, and just like this, Pheylop did find those 2 as a 2-star. Now we can say he started incredibly strong in this particular game because it's a 2-star Mars, 2-star Timbersaw, and a 2-star Clockwork. Usually I also like my Timbersaw to be in the middle position simply because this allows him to do AoEs in the middle, and here he's protected by a Mars and a Clockwork. With those 2 and with a Crystal Maiden, Timbersaw can look forward with a lower CD and to cast multiple times, but unless he finds himself into a fire lineup of archers and anti-mage, he won't be able to do anything. Now the great thing about Amas here is that Amas is a big counter to hunters in the early game, simply because most of the physical damage will not be doing much to Amas, but unfortunately it was the Timbersaw that jumped in first, so he actually got sniped off instead of the Mars. I think Pheylop here was a little annoyed as well because the Timber jumped in instead of Mars. This usually happens with AI, and this is something we really don't have enough control on, I feel. That did lose the win streak for Pheylop as well. So, something interesting over here. It did only cost our player here 5 gold to level up, and by leveling up here, it allows Pheylop to put another Crystal Maiden. Having 2 Crystal Maiden means you're actually gaining double mana regen. For those that didn't know, 2 Crystal Maidens will provide 2 mana regeneration aura independently of each other. So that means you're actually having the effect of, well, double Crystal Maiden. 2 Crystal Maiden is supposedly be better than 1 2-star Crystal Maiden, because if you look at the mana regen, it's actually the higher when you add those 2. So this Timber is going to be a force to be reckoned with. With those mana regen and with that low cooldown reduction, Timber is going to be the top DPS for Pheylop for sure. And he's got a massive AoE radius. Looking over here, massive AoE. Now, the question is, our player wants to go to Mages, but keep in mind, we'll look at the damage. 1 to 2 DPS. Keep in mind, he did not pick up the Keeper of Light simply because he wants to go God's Mage right now. He started with a Mars, that's a 2-star Mars. He started with a Puck. Now he found the 3rd God's Mage, which is a Razor. Why he didn't go for the Keeper of the Light? Well, most of us that try Gods and Mages will know that Crystal Maiden and Keeper is both humans. Having both humans are great, except when you have the Gods on the board. Mages really do prefer the lower cooldown reduction in comparison because every unit does damage. Keeper of the Light, Razor, Puck, it's just how much damage they do. But in comparison, 50 magic cooldown reduction for spells is massive for the mages. I think Pheylop will have a solid game starting from this point, simply because he found his 3 mages early, he found his solid frontline. For those that want to play Mage, Normal Mage, Elemental Mage, or even God's Mage, you really need a solid frontline. Because without a solid frontline, the mages are sitting ducks before they become mature. And for them to become mature, you're actually looking at 2-star mages. And it's quite hard to find because most mages are 2 cost and 3 cost. Over here we can see, Pheylop gave the rope to the Razor. As a range unit, Razor really excels in debuffing an enemy, and Razor have a much quicker attack speed than Puck and Crystal Maiden over here. And also, those units that's susceptible to Razor's range damage is also susceptible for his AoEs. Looking over this formation, Pheylop kind of noticed last time the Mars was not tanking that much for the Timber Sword, so this time he moved back, so Mars can provide more tankiness. Well, that Timber Sword is going places, guys. He's going to be the world champion of damage dealer for Pheylop for a while. And let's have a look at his damage meter. Usually I feel if you have to go with God's Mages, the 2 Goblins are the best ones to start off. The Tinker and the Timber, or the Clockwork and the Timber. Because with a Crystal Maiden, there's a lower cooldown reduction and there is massive AoE damage potential. Surprisingly, guys, Mars actually did more damage than Razor. So this is something I want to highlight with you guys, is that if you have a Mars on the lineup, if he's one of the only few 2-stars, it's actually better to give the God synergy over other synergies because a 2-star Mars will actually do more damage because he will be slamming every 5 seconds instead of slamming every 10 seconds. Let's go back for a second. Let's see what Pheylop saw. So I'm going to go back a little bit. Pheylop started looking at other players' compositions at round 12. Let's have a look. He started looking. He sees Hunters over here. He sees another Undead Hunters, actually Undead Elf over here. He sees a bit of Goblins. Someone's going into Assassins though. He sees the Luna and he sees the Orc Warriors. So now he's got a general aspect of what he's looking at. He should be okay against the archers because they do physical auto damage. And the rest of the units are actually most melee units. So what we're looking at over here is the mage composition that Pheylop is planning to transition into is going to have a solid chance against the enemy because most of them are melee units. And they don't excel in terms of magic defense until much later into the stage of the game. By saying that though, an early 2-star Doozer and a Slaughter or a Tide Hunter can be incredible. Oh, look at here guys, very interesting. Something I want to highlight with you guys is that although the Timber Sword is very good for Pheylop, this currently is the maturity phase for Pheylop. That means he wants to build up his economy. To build up his economy, he's willing to sacrifice a few units that are not core to him. I'm also curious to see what happens when Pheylop loses here. Would he sell his Samas, or would he actually be happy to be sitting on 39 gold? Because he will not be selling the Crystal Maiden for sure. He's also looking at the win streak leader, who is currently level 7 with 11 gold. Why did I say that? Is that during maturity phase, you actually feels like your lineup is solid against other players, and you can be comfortably saving for 50 gold. This is crucial for most players. The earlier you save, the safer you are. I think Pheylop will have a solid chance here because those are weak units, and those are only 1-star units. So we won't be able to see his decisions here, what happens when he loses, but I think he might have sold the Mars here to make the gold, because he can always find the Masters later. What we'll be focusing is the timing window for Pheylop to be actually rolling, and how would he be rolling for those units as well. Would he go to level 7 to roll, or would he go to level 8 to be rolling for his mages? Because it's likely he'll hit 50 gold very soon. Medusa. This is a highlight. Let's see if Pheylop picks Medusa. If he doesn't pick the Medusa, he values economy at this stage. If he picks Medusa, he really values Medusa in the lineup. As we can see, as the spectator, we can also notice the amount of 2-stars people are finding, and people just found a Bounty Hunter and a Furin as a 2-star. So Pheylop's checking again. This is Assassin player. This is the scary one, I feel, because he can take the backline. This Orc Goblin Warrior, and there are actually a few undead players as well. So right now I feel the real threat will be the maturity for the Assassin for Pheylop. Until they mature, Pheylop is really a force to be reckoned with. Over here, he's level 6 with 50 gold, and he's currently in the 2nd position in the game. Most players are not saving enough. So there's a 50, 50, 50, and 40. I was actually quite wrong about not saving enough. What I want to say is most players are saving, but some of the players are not saving because they doubled up. Level 7, level 7, level 6, level 6. And yes, level 6 means they actually rolled a bit. Level 7 means they spend the gold to be actually leveling up. What we want to see is the choices players make. And this is a little highlight here. Oh, Pheylop found the Venomancer. That's interesting. Let's go back a little bit. Let me show you guys what happened. So, we see the Deucer. Pheylop didn't pick the Deucer here because he wants to be sitting on 50 gold for the maximum rate of finding the interest. Now the next round starts. He sees the Deucer, he sees the Alchemist. He bought 2. And then he saw the Alchemist, he bought the Witch Doctor, he started rolling. He sees a pair, he buys the pair, he rolls again. He sees a Venom. Now he's going to have 3 Venoms. Notice how he doesn't have the auto combat now. Maybe that's a purpose thing. So he can actually be looking forward to not fuse the Venomancer. If he feels the need to it, he can be selling the Venomancer. A highlight here is his lineup is at maturity. His lineup can be stronger by finding 2-star units. 2-star Razor, 2-star Puck, and 2-star Crystal Maiden. That's what he was mainly looking for. But the Venomancer here is quite interesting, because Venomancer does add a lot to his lineup in terms of damage and in terms of summons. But what's going to happen is Venomancer will be locking in for his 7th spot. And it's likely Pheylop is considering to level up very soon. Let's have a look if he plans to. Something I want to highlight with the Crystallis is that by combining Crystallis, you actually lose some of the flat damage, but you gain some of the critical damage. So it's more beneficial if you give this item to a unit with higher base attack, because a unit with lower base attack actually means you lost damage if you had the 2 pieces. Yes, let's look at the highlight over here. This is something I want to mention, is that it's very interesting. It's over here. Pheylop needs to level 3 times. That means he needs 15 gold to level up here to put down the Venomancer. If he wins one more turn, he only needs 10 gold to level up. So by winning one more turn, Pheylop will be saving himself or gaining additional 1 gold of interest. But let's see what is he losing if he lost this round. If he happened to be losing this round, he would lose likely his 2 or 3 gold of winning streak gold. And that, I think, is more crucial to Pheylop, and that's why he leveled up, even though it was not the correct multiples of 4 to be leveling. Usually when we say correct multiples of 4, we meant at level 17, and after that, each of the rounds that comes after the neutral round. Because the rounds after the neutral round tends to be the power spec that matches people. So I want to see how Pheylop does it once we see the round 21, 26, and 31. Ooh, this is a little unraveling, and I think having the Venomancer there actually did a lot for him. Not maybe in terms of damage, but in terms of the slow attack speed and in terms of extra body to be attacking enemy. And he did punish other players massively. So pushing for a win streak also have the advantage of pushing for punishing other players. Oh, that's a big pickup. So looking over here, the Venomancer did 27 damage, and the little plague ward named Leah also did 12 DPS. So in total, the Venomancer actually did a decent amount of damage for Pheylop on that round. And picking up this Crystal Maiden means Pheylop should be one of the strongest players in this particular set of rounds. We do notice the Puck have a Void Stone, and I think Pheylop will actually really enjoy having the Void Stone on the Venomancer. But what happened was, in early games, Pheylop valued the potential of using every item in the early game, so he actually gave every item instead of saving them for the later game. Personally, I do this as well because I feel that winning the early game is so important, and any item can help me. Look at this Venomancer go, guys. It's so lovely to see Mars Mage with a Venomancer with any mana regen item or with a Crystal Maiden. It's the most scary thing against that for other players, and it's the best thing to watch on your board. Now, if Pheylop wants to go to demons, he'll need 2 demons. I think for this particular route, the goblins are actually carrying him far enough that he doesn't need to go into demons. But let's see how he does it. He can't have the Conquer, which would be an ideal mage. Let's see. What Pheylop is looking for, I think, is likely to be the last park. He did roll a few times. Let's see if Pheylop sells the park for the Void Stone, because I mentioned earlier that the Venomancer will enjoy the Void Stone so much, because Void Stone on the Venomancer actually gains him double the mana, and for Warlock that means 40 mana instead of 20 mana per hit. That's massive. So I think with this particular Venomancer with the Void Stone is what carried Pheylop on this particular round. Those assassins, they can't actually kill the Venomancer fast enough until the ward actually got to them. And I think that was the biggest reason why Pheylop won this round. Winning this round is crucial because Pheylop's about to fly with his career because he has so much win streak as well. So the decision of selling the park there means anything you can do to protect the win streak when it's very minimal, you actually do it. Now, if that was a 2-star park, I'm unsure if Pheylop will be selling the park, but a 1-star park, he will be selling the park because he knows the importance of a Void Stone on the Venomancer. What I'm also curious to see is when would Pheylop change his positioning, because he just saw Assassin. And just when I said it, Pheylop started changing his positioning. The crucial unit for Pheylop right now is the Timber Sword and the Venomancer. And the Razor at the park are actually just a little space holder activation for additional magic damage. As long as the Venomancer stays alive for the first 15 seconds, Pheylop will win the round. And that's a very scary chore here. No, little Venom, had a dream. Not like these. Oh gosh, the Venomancer did not manage to survive. I think our good friend Mars did was actually looping around on the side too much instead of tanking properly. So, unfortunately, Pheylop did lose this round, but he has built up such a strong economy in comparison as well. Oh, he found another park. Yes, he started using auto combine now. I was going to say, sometimes not having auto combine means we can have decisions at the moment, which allows us to consider if we want this unit or we want to sell it for gold. Having auto command takes that option away, but it does increase the speed of the action. So, there's always a trade-off with things. Personally, I prefer to turn off auto combine when I'm in doubt whether I want to combine this unit or not. I usually turn it on in other times to be faster with my actions. So having the Venomancer against neutral monster is great because each of the Venomancer word will reduce the damage the enemy deals by reducing their attack speed. So the Urzabir all of a sudden goes into a movie star slow mode, as you can see, against Pheylop's units because each Venomancer word will be slowing the unit, but this does not stack. So we can see the Plague Word Leah is actually the top damage here. Pheylop is level 8 and he was rolling. We can see that Pheylop was constantly rolling at level 7 and level 8. This is something we want to have a look as well. It's when players level and when players are rolling. Oh, he's actually 7 of 8. This is something I do as well. Let's see, he noticed it. He noticed it, yes. Sometimes I get really tunnel vision. I actually forgot that I'm 7 of 8, and sometimes we actually have 1 less. Notice over here, the Venomancer again is the key unit to be protected. As long as the Venom survives, Pheylop have a really good chance against any lineup. So that's, as we say, protect the mighty Venom. The particular positioning over here in the middle allows Pheylop to dish out most of his physical and magical damages in terms of Mars AoE, in terms of Timber and Razor AoE, and also allows the Venom to be well protected. Because if there are enemy units of the Assassin in the front line, his front line won't be jumping too far away from the Venom. And if the enemy assassins in the backline, they are backline units to protect the Venom as well. Wow, Pheylop is getting some top rolls, I have to say. The key, I feel, with any form of Mars mages is having a lead in the early game. And once you have a lead in the early game, you can really consider of picking up some really fancy units like Disruptor and Medusa. And that moment, if you're level 8 and you rolled into your Zeus, oh boy, the game just becomes so beautiful for you in any level of the game. What Pheylop is looking for is the Razor, the Puck, the Disruptor, maybe a Witch Doctor, because Witch Doctor's bounces is quite extraordinary in the early game. But I think Pheylop won't be looking at Puck for long because, Pheylop won't be looking for that Witch Doctor for long because the Witch Doctor will be out of date very soon. He needs to kill that anti-mage before he touched the Venom. Yes! Guys, let's see how much damage Venom did. This is like a little Venom highlight as well. Being comfortable winning a few rounds, we can see that Pheylop has locked himself onto the second position, while most of the players actually losing health. So, the Venomancer Ward did 28, while Venomancer did 26, while the Puck did 225 damage. So surprisingly enough, Puck is actually the real MVP here, guys. And noticing that the Razor kind of got burned down and the Puck did more damage, Pheylop is changing his formation again a little bit. And we can really see the power of lower cooldown reduction with double Crystal Maiden at work here, guys. Simply because he's got the lower cooldown reduction and the double mana regen, his units are spamming magic as quickly as they can. That's a tight hunter and a slaughter, so the magic he's dealing is not going to be that great. But keep in mind, Venomancer is a physical damage dealer, while the Masters are also physical AoE dealers. So again, as long as Venom survives, things are going to be really hard for the other player. And there you go. Because each Venomancer word slows the enemy as well. I was going to say, I was wondering if Pheylop buys the Shadow Shaman. He buys the Shadow Shaman because something I want to share that's really fun with you guys is that the power of Shadow Shaman with the Disruptor plus the Gods. Because it's likely Shadow Shaman can almost perma-hex the neutral monster once the Shadow Shaman gets his hand on them. Because with the Gods, with the Mars, and with the Zeus, the Shadow Shaman can actually have a lower CD enough, so he's always hexing the monster, so the monster will permanently be hexed because you start with a hex with the Disruptor, followed by Shadow Shaman hitting the monster, getting mana. With Crystal Maiden, he will get mana fast enough, and the only thing that limits him is the cooldown. And with that particular cooldown, Shadow Shaman can perma-hex the neutral monsters. Round 24 is the round Pheylop decides to swap his positioning. Usually I swap around round 24, 25 or 26. I like to swap around 25 in case I need to change the position a little more. And unfortunately, Pheylop did find his nemesis Mage. This particular Mage have the warrior frontline. With the Doom, Conquer and Juggernaut, there's more controlling power and more burst damage. And happily enough, the same player actually lost him on a reverse mirror fight, so sometimes it is a bit of RNG who gets his spell off first. Looking over here, Pheylop is preemptively leveling up to level 9 soon by the looks of it. He stopped rolling. Something I want to highlight to you guys is when do we stop rolling and when do we keep rolling. It's the fact he's got all 2-star units on the board that it's likely he can't fit him as a unit unless he finds 3 more Crystal Maiden or if he finds 3 more Puck or maybe 3 more Masters. Other than that, he can't fit units on the board. He really do value the Timber because he's a great nuker and a great frontline. So by leveling up opens up higher rates for purple and legendaries. It also opens up another spot for him Pheylop to be putting down. And lastly, round 26 is a power spike round. Let's see how Pheylop is going to decide for the round 26. And that item is very interesting as well. This particular item gives health and increased magic mana regen, which is very good on the Disruptor, very good on units that takes damage that wants to cast very fast. Sometimes I can give it to Disruptor, Techies, Doom, or sometimes a Conquer, sometimes a Tide. Ooh, Pheylop leveled up, as you can see, guys. As I was mentioning earlier, the power spike is quite important. And in comparison, Pheylop needs more frontline for the Venom to survive to be casting and Mages to survive lineup to cast multiple cast. So he chose the Timber instead of putting down the 2-star Puck. Puck will give more damage, he just needs time for his units to cast and benefit from the reduction of cooldown. So, as long as the Puck, Razor, and Venom stays alive, he has a really solid chance here. But the very unfortunate thing, as you guys might have saw, is that the Knights triggered the super up multiple times against Pheylop, and each time his nuke damage landed, they did not do much damage. This is why most people ask me what is the counter to Mages in the late game. It's actually the Trolls with knights, or maybe 6 knights as well. Wow, that is a massive pickup. Laundry, Tide, and the Necromancer. I'm gonna pause a moment over here. So let's go back a little bit. Let's look at this particular lineup. Pheylop did not hesitate for much. For a mage lineup, it's great to have the Laundry, and I like it, but unfortunately Pheylop is not a traditional mage lineup. He is a mage lineup with enough frontline already. He's got 4 front lines. The Laundry acts as a tank instead of a damage dealer for the mages. Necro is one of the best units for the Mars mages, and Tide is also a crucial unit. Pheylop also have an item that can be given to the Tide for him to cast so much earlier. So instead of picking everything and he's likely not going to use the Laundry, Pheylop picked the Necromancer and Tide over here. And he did not waste time. He instantly went to rolling for the Disruptor, Necro, and other units to come. This is something nice as well. He found a pack. Another pack. Oh gosh. Can he do it? I really wish. Oh, Crystal Med. Oh gosh. This is something we actually. Oh, this is a good pickup. Okay. Sell the Shadow Shamans. Yes, he did it. So, something I want to highlight with you guys is that the Disruptor is a really nice unit as a 2-star. Massive AoE, damage, and silence. Mages need time, especially a Mars Mage. And especially a Mage with double Crystal Maiden. So with time, as you can see, this Disruptor is already on max mana. So 5 more seconds, he's going to cast again. Oh, maybe not when the Doom gets him. So having additional unit, having a Disruptor, Pheylop defeated the Nemesis Mage when he lost to him previously. The Necromancer is definitely going to be a big pickup for Pheylop. And as you can see guys, Pheylop is rolling, he is not waiting. He's going to buy the techies to increase his rates of finding legendaries. Necromancer, perfect. So, oh, another. It's going all over the place. Let me quickly walk you guys through this concept. And let's see, yeah, Necromancer is going to be a top pickup. Let's have a look what we have over here. I'm going to stop before the round. Once it goes to yellow, I'm going to stop and I'm going to go through the lineup with you guys. So, over here, Pheylop's got 1 Mars and 1 2-star Mars, 1 Timber to be the front line. The backline follows by the healing AoE damage dealer Necromancer, which heals and AoE damages the enemy. The Venomancer, that's a utility unit that summons units. That is actually going to be the backbone of Pheylop's physical lineup. The Disruptor is an initiator that AoE silences and disables in terms of silence. That does a great amount of damage. Lastly, there's Razor and there's Puck that does pure magic damage. The Crystal Maidens are here to ensure everyone casts fast and everyone can cast faster with the second cast because of the lower CD. If the Disruptor gets his spell off, Pheylop's waiting for the Disruptor as well. He should be securing the round. Wow, he got the spell off. But the downside is the bolt also hit him. So this is the position with the Disruptor, I feel. But notice here guys, the crucial thing is that Pheylop did not get wiped instantly by losing a lot of health. He actually sustained himself a little longer because of the Necromancer. The downside is the positioning of the Disruptor. He did not take damage. He only got mana from the Crystal Maidens and he only got mana from his auto attacks. Let's see, what will Pheylop be looking for now? Definitely a Puck, I would say. Puck and Crystal Maiden on the top rows. Timbersaw is not bad, but maybe he can even consider letting the Timbersaw go. He found the Puck, perfect. That's a big pickup. Puck have a much lower CD each time he levels up, and Puck also have increased damage. Notice Pheylop did move up the Disruptor, and by moving up the Disruptor, it's likely he will take the frontal damage and likely to be casting faster. I think Pheylop is looking at this little Venomancer. Maybe he will be retiring soon as well. Currently looking on the leaderboard, Pheylop is still on top 2, but he's very close to the rest of the players. And this is a quite scary Elf Beast player. The thing is, Elf Beasts are quite sustaining, and they don't have much burst, but they can actually take you out because of the amount of 3-star units they have for the solid amount of HP. Oh, interesting. The top player lost, and also Pheylop lost. This is turning into a very close game. Now to see if Pheylop pick up the Deucer. Deucer can be a good replacement for the Venom, or even just a Timbersaw. And yes, the items on the Venom was too tempting to be left there, because the Venom has fallen off his particular expire date. So Venom was great from any round when you find him as a 2-star till the round of 26, I feel. After that, he does slack off or he falls off unless you have the 4 beast. Pheylop did not go for the Medusa here, so it's likely he won't be picking up Medusas. A little thing to note here, I feel personally, a Medusa for the Mars lineup is quite crucial because the rotation of Medusa with Disruptor will allow us to have almost permanent silence or permanent stoning. Not picking up the Medusa means Pheylop will be planning to go into the 3-star Timbersaw, which is a great frontline as well. Let's have a look how this fares first. Oh, one more Timbersaw. Oh gosh, so excited. Also, 2 more Crystal Maiden. Notice again, Pheylop picked up a Shadow Shaman. He did do this out of habit as well to pick up the first Shadow Shaman. Who tied down the game? Tied down is like, where's my buddy? Pheylop's like, I don't know. Okay, this is the Shadow Shaman. And picking up this Shadow Shaman allows Pheylop to have an instant hex. So over here, he valued the instant hex of in comparison to the durability of the Timbersaw. And this is personal choice, and I think a personal choice for the Shadow Shaman is that it is great to be hexing the neutral monsters. The downside is he lacks damage, but I think the 2-star pack might have provided enough damage. Unfortunately, it did not provide enough damage. So right now it's going to be neck and neck in this close queen game. And looking over here, we do have the highest queen being 1,938. Oh, he found a Timber. Perfect. Also a Razor. Notice guys, the Shadow Shaman is over here on this particular lineup, not because Pheylop favors the Shadow Shaman and Disruptor that much, because he knows he's got a lower cooldown with the Hex. That means Shadow Shaman may be casting multiple Hex against the enemy, and that can be very crucial for him. Other than that, I don't think the Shadow Shaman is that great pickup to be adding on his unit composition at round 30. But because of the multiple hexes, it can justify itself if he instant hex the right unit and then he follows back with a good hex as well. Now having the particular unit choices and composition of 2 Crystal Maiden and the items on the Disruptor, Pheylop can cast so much faster on his Disruptor in comparison to any Mage or any lineup. Because it's 2 Crystal Maiden, the chance of him getting mana by taking damage, and there's also a chance of him getting mana by attacking with a Void Storm. There's like triple or quadruple effects of Disruptor gaining mana, which is a massive one. Ideal top rows would be the Mars and Crystal Maiden for Pheylop. Keep in mind, most mages do tend to ball up, and this is another mage that balls up, this is another mage that balls up. So right now, we're seeing a lot of mages that's balling up. But the difference between Pheylop and the rest of the players is level 9, level 8. Each of the units are crucial. And I think Pheylop's looking over on this player, simply because each time a mage player dies, there's more in the pool for the rest of the mages. The highlight for Pheylop is definitely that Timbersaw. Not picking up the Medusa means he's got a great front line. Oh no, that's a Dragon Knight. Now, personally speaking, against Dragon Knights, you do not want to position your ball of mages directly at the Dragon Knight. This gives the Dragon Knight a great chance of splashing all your units in the front line and the back line. What we want to do is we want to not position right in front of the Dragon Knight over here, but come over here if possible. But of course, if we move the way, we might be susceptible ourselves to other lineup that can be moving over here on the side. And currently there are only 3 players left in the rounds. The other players have just died on the last round. So there's Pheylop, there's our level 8 player, level 9 player. So ironically, this level 8, 9 and 10 are levels in terms of the leaderboard as well. Pheylop just adjusted. Notice he did not adjust for the Dragon Knight player. I think one reason was he was short of time. The second reason is knowing that usually alternates between the players when there's only 3 left. So there's no need for him to adjust for this round. Oh, the Dragon Knight player is so strong. He took out the other player with ease, guys, as you saw there. The strength of the Dragon Knight comes in that the enemy lineup does not have enough armor. Despite the fact that mages can do a lot, but not having enough armor and clumping up against the Dragon Knight is not a great choice. Now what I want to show you guys, and what I think Pheylop wants to show you guys, is the permanent hex of Shadow Shaman with Disruptor over here. This is a really nice showcase. Let's see how we go. That's a triple mask of mana, just a triple mask life stealing Timber Sword as well, guys. And yes, you can see Pheylop is giving attack damage and attack speed damage to the Necro, so he can gain mana fast and heal and gain mana fast with the maximum attack. Let's have a look. This dragon is always a chicken, guys. He's never waking up simply because the Shadow Shaman's cooldown and his spell casting is actually on par. Oh, he found a mystic stuff. Interesting. And if you remember correctly, the Disruptor actually have pieces of the shipstick. So we call it the shipstick when you turn a monster into a ship. And having those items means next round Pheylop will be having one of the legendary items that allows him to hex. That also means he can hex 3 times. If the Shadow Shaman gets spells off, he can maybe hex quadruple times if he survives further once he gets his item. Let's see how he's going to fare on this run. Something I noticed earlier is that, oh, this pack is not coming back. She's gone. Something I noticed earlier is the Dragonite player did swap, as you can see. By swapping, the Dragonite player was also thinking Pheylop might be swapping over here to get away from him, but over here allows him to really splash on the front line and to go from there. The Dragonite is a crucial enemy here. There's 2 Dragonite. Oh gosh, this is over for Pheylop. You saw the Tide, you saw the Deucer. That initiation is pretty much over. And there's no need for Pheylop to hide, I feel, because it's going to be hard to defeat the enemy with 27%. It was a really, really good game in the idea that this is a high rank Queen game with the Gods Mages. And a few highlights in this particular game is Pheylop's selection of tank front lines, being the Clockwork and Timber Sword, and a 2-star Mars in the front line. And also his selection of 3 mages early. He picked up the pack really early, and then followed by the Razor and the Crystal Maiden. And after that, he picked up multiple Crystal Maidens for 2-star Crystal Maiden, because Crystal Maiden really do allow, so it enables the God's cooldown to be useful in the maximum effectiveness. Pheylop sold 1 pack to salvage the item from the pack to give to the Venomancer. Then Pheylop sold that Venomancer to salvage the item to be given to the Disruptor for the late game initiate. So we can see the focus over here. Pheylop gave items to the pack to maximize his winning potential in the early game. He sold the 1-star pack to give to the Venomancer that's 2-star to maximize his potential in the mid game with Venomancer. Then he sold the Venomancer to be given to the Disruptor to maximize his late game potential with Initiate. So again, thank you so much Pheylop for sharing this replay with us, and thank you so much for everyone for watching this particular high rank Queen replay. Let me know in the comments below of what you think about this particular style of educational and Queen rank games, and let me know if you have any suggestions with this particular series. Thank you so much guys for watching. If you want to support me further on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share the video for those who like auto chess as well. To support me on Twitch, please say hi when you're free. Please follow my Twitch channel, and please use your Twitch Prime subs here. Thank you so much guys, and thank you so much for your support. I'll see you guys next time.